Coming to you live from downtown Windsor, this is a St. Clair College MediaPlex production.
Good evening, I'm Grace Selos.
And I'm Zachary Balog.
And you're watching the
MediaPlex Insider.
Let's check in with Constable Lauren Briscoe for our weekly Crime Stoppers update.
Essex County OPP are seeking the public's assistance in locating a 38-year-old resident of Leamington who was last seen late August 2023. The missing male, Adam, was last seen in a white canoe towing a red dinghy in Cedar Creek in the town of Kingsville. Adam is described as a white male, 38 years old, thin build, 6 foot tall, and 160 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. Anyone with information on Adam's whereabouts are asked to contact the OPP Kingsville Detachment. If you wish to remain anonymous, contact Crime Stoppers at 519-258-8477 or submit a tip online at catchcrooks.com. You could earn a cash reward. I am Police Coordinator Lauren Briscoe.
Let's head outside to where Sydney Langlois is standing by with an early look at the weather. Sydney?
Well, I sure signed up for the right day to bring you the weather. Outside, it's a summer-like 20 degrees, only dropping to a low of 16 tonight. I'll be back a little later in the show to bring you your 3-day forecast.
We sent Jackson Gallant over to City Hall to bring us this report.
Tomorrow, here at City Hall, 5 of our councilors will gather for an environment, transportation, and public safety meeting. These meetings go over issues regarding city cleanliness, animal safety, public transportation, and more. The meetings usually occur once every 2 months here at the council chambers at 4:30 p.m. The meeting will go over an update to the active transportation master plan. It will also address options for addressing panhandling and strategies to prevent rodent issues. The valuation of Transit Windsor's pension plan will also be a topic of discussion, and with this, they will be terminating their investment management agreement with pension plan company OMERS, and they will be implementing a new temporary strategy while they figure out what their next steps are in distributing their pension. City Council meetings will be back next Monday, October 30th, along with a community service meeting next Wednesday. For the MediaPlex, I'm Jackson Gallant.
Local actors and actresses have been working on a new show that has a long history. Dale Kabukian has more.
Michael Rice has been in the Capitol Theater for a couple of hours getting ready for a show at 7:30 at night. On Thursday, Rice is not just preparing to perform in any ordinary show.
I look over my lines to make sure that I don't miss anything and do a couple goofy exercises to work out my voice.
The Art Collective Theater production has invited charity and youth groups in Windsor, Essex to a special viewing of a community program production. And this year, volunteers and staff members of different organizations are invited to witness Guys and Dolls. This is the ACT's initiative to give back to the volunteers in the community.
And the idea was, how do we create a show dedicated to people in our community who are doing great things? How do we offer them an opportunity to see theater at really low cost or nothing?
This show is colorful comedy set in the 1950s that had many revivals. It had been described by theater lovers as the perfect musical. Although the screening is free, the audience is encouraged to donate. Moya McAllister, the Vice President and Marketing Manager of ACT, says the funds will help pay for future production costs. Christine Navarro from the Filipino Community Center is one of the audiences of the show.
Trust ACT to put on a good show always, and the actors put so much work into their performances, the designers with their costumes, the stage, and it's just getting better and better every year.
Go to actwindsor.ca to learn more about current and future shows and events. For MediaPlex News, I am Dale Kabukin.
Cam Segan sits down with a special guest on this edition of 3 Minutes With.
Welcome, everybody, and I am here today for 3 Minutes with Timothy Hole, formerly of Leave Those Kids Alone. Now, he is out on his own. Now, Timothy, thanks first of all for coming. You spent 6 years in Leave Those Kids Alone. Tell me, what's next for you?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. what's next for me is I plan on transitioning into doing some of my own stuff. So I'm going to be releasing an album sometime in 2024. I said spring or summer, but I'm super loose on date because I'm just starting the recording process now. But essentially, I plan on releasing an album called Tundra in 2024, and we will see what happens from there. I'm available for bookings. If anybody wants to contact me, please do. But yeah, so I'm just flying by the seat of my pants here and seeing what happens.
Right, now I do want to get into the future a little bit later, but first, after spending so long with the band, what would you say is your favorite song to perform?
Well, the band released an album called Groundwork, and a song that I wrote called Where She Was the main single off of that record, so I think I would have to go with that one because that one is one of the first songs that I ever wrote fully. So, and the other ones you will never get to hear, sorry, but won't happen, and I think that one is very near and dear to my heart.
So I know you have written some songs in the past. Would you say Where She Was is your finest work?
As is to be released so far, yes.
And now we'll shift to the future. You touched on it earlier. What are you working on? Can you get any more specific than you were earlier?
I will be releasing covers either weekly or bi-weekly on my Instagram, which is TimothyHole03, and TikTok, which is TimothyH03. And Facebook, you just friend me and I'll accept. But I will be releasing weekly covers of songs that people know. And then moving forward, obviously, I will be going into more original music and slowly start teasing things that I'm working on probably towards the beginning of 2024.
Right. Well, thank you, Timothy, so much. And thank you for watching. We have just spent 3 minutes with guitarist and singer, Timothy Hole.
Halloween is next week, but who really came up with this idea? Elliot St. Aubin looks into it.
Everyone loves dressing up in a good costume, scary movies, and who doesn't like candy? All this comes together for the spookiest holiday of the year, Halloween. But where does this tradition come from? Well, it comes from an 18th century Celtic festival. This holiday was celebrated at the end of every summer to welcome the year's harvest. Back then, it was called Samhain, and during Samhain, the people would light bonfires and wear ghost costumes. They believed the ghost costumes would ward off ghosts and let them blend in with them. But they didn't just use costumes to scare off ghosts, they also carved sinister grins and eyes into turnips because they believed this would trap the devil inside the vegetable. As for trick-or-treating, it's a little unclear where this actually comes from. One theory suggests it comes from a German-American tradition where children would dress up in a disguise and get their neighbors to guess their identities. Over time, some of these children would get rewarded with candy if the neighbor couldn't guess their identity. So, I hope you learned a little something about where the Halloween festivities come from. For MediaPlex, I'm Elliot St. Aubin.
Was that a trick or a treat?
I don't know. Community is at the heart of one local church trying to make a difference. Julianne Leclerc explains.
Located on the corner of Parent and Wyandotte is the new Parkwood Outreach Center that just opened on September 24th. They're teamed up with Street Help and Bagley Grade School to offer food to people living in the community. This 2-floor building is currently being remodeled to be a safe place for people to come together and help make Windsor better. They currently have teams that are being trained to pick up garbage in the community and to offer safety training and CPR training.
We have a core team of about 15 other individuals that have agreed to come down here for a year and help us launch this outreach center. And so we are planted here in this community to specifically and intentionally assess and serve the needs of the community and the people around us. So we just want people to know that we're here, that we care, that we're listening, and that we want to be here for the long haul.
If you want to give back to the community or have any questions, you can contact 519-948-7055, extension 246. For the MediaPlex, I'm Julianne Leclerc.
Let's head back outside to Sydney Langlois for a look at our 3-day forecast. Sydney?
Well, here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that today, October 24th, is National Bologna Day? Well, no bologna here, just weather. Let's take a look at your 3-day forecast. Wednesday, it'll be cloudy with a high of 22. Thursday, we can expect a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 22. And Friday, there's a chance of showers and again, a high of 22. That's it from me at the corner of University and Victoria. Back to you in the studio.
And now it's time for the photo of the week, where we highlight some of our students' great work. This Sunshine Street dancer was captured by a first-year journalism student, Andy Torek. Nice work, Andy.
You know what that weather is? Baloney. That's what it is. Our very own Jesse LaRouche sat down with Mix 96.7's Tori Ruvers. Let's watch.
Hello, I'm Jesse LaRouche, and today we are spending 3 minutes with Mix 96.7 morning host, Tori Ruvers. Welcome, Tori.
Thanks.
First, I gotta ask you, what got you into radio and content creation?
Well, I was at this little place called the MediaPlex studying public relations, and one of my wonderful professors, Rebecca Wright, told me about a media company called Blackburn Radio who was hiring a summer patroller, and I ended up working there doing summer patrol work for, I want to say it was 3 years, 3 summers. I graduated PR, I was doing marketing full-time and whatnot, but I still kind of had the job there doing part-time work. And then right before COVID, one of their morning show co-hosts, she left, and they said, well, we're looking for somebody like Tori. And I was like, well, you guys should ask Tori. So initially I didn't really have any idea to be in radio. Even when I was in school, it was never really a thing. Even when I was working for the company, I didn't really think I would be in radio. And then the opportunity came up, and the company was just always really, really good to me. And I had some other help and encouragement from people within the company, our hosts that I had worked with before. And Jay was also super supportive, and that made that really easy. So it's been 3 years now, and what got me into it was just the love of Windsor and having a little bit of influence, just like a tiny, tiny little bit, and people listening and kind of caring what you have to say. Is kind of anything. Anybody wants that, right? Yeah.
And what would you say are some skills that people trying to get into the industry should focus on really developing?
Yeah, networking. Networking, the ability to talk to people, crowds, but also individual networking. That would be the most important thing. I got the job because of who I knew and how I was able to talk to people. So a lot of people want to talk about the radio technical skills and like the cadence and the flow and enunciation and stuff like that. But I find that kind of comes later and through practice, and being on air kind of throws you into it. But the technical skills, yes, they're important, but I think more so honing in on what makes you special, why people want to hear what you have to say. Content creation is also something that you have to be able to naturally do. Creativity, even when you don't think you're creative, everybody is creative, so focus on expanding that. And again, networking, like that's truly kind of everything.
Yeah, well, you say networking.
Yeah.
You actually have your podcast of your own.
Yes.
I have to ask, if there was one dream guest you could have on your podcast, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. I think people think it would be like somebody huge and famous and something that would just bring so much attention. But the entire point of that podcast is to kind of talk to normal people, just regular people who I think are interesting but don't really get the chance to show it. So it would probably be somebody like the owner of a restaurant locally that everybody loves and knows has an interesting story. Or like, I recently went to this bar. There's a bar in Detroit called Nemo's, and they just have this like crazy backstory and history in Detroit and like sports and all this kind of stuff. So like the owner of that would be cool. I find a lot of people listen to the podcast and say, oh my gosh, I didn't know that person even lived in Windsor, but they have such an interesting story. So that kind of thing, which sounds very humble, but if I had to say like something crazy, then Beyonce.
All right.
But she doesn't do interviews, so.
All right. Well, thank you, Tori. We've just spent 3 minutes with the Mix 96.7 host, Tori Ruvers. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
If you're looking for all things entertainment, Zach and Riley have you covered. Here's ZNR Entertainment.
Hi, I'm Zach.
And I'm Riley.
And we'd like to welcome you to our segment, ZNR Entertainment,
where we'll be talking all the latest in TV, movies, music, celebrities, and more.
So stick around to see what's in store for this week. Welcome to this episode of ZNR Entertainment. I'm sitting here with Christian Pinard, the star of the short film Planted. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
So I gotta say, how did you get involved in this short film?
Well, the writer of the film, Rebecca Wright, is actually a good friend of mine from high school. And when she approached me with it alongside Rawad, it almost seemed like a no-brainer to kind of have the talent involved in a production like this. It was just something I've really looked forward to working with again.
Okay, so I have got to ask this question. There was a scene where Rawad buries you alive. What was that like?
Intense. So obviously it was very tight quarters, and Ken Emlyn, who is the director of photography, was in the grave with me. So it was a lot of content in a very tight space. So it was interesting only because like you perceive what being buried alive is like, and then actually being buried alive are two different things. And you realize when you're under 40 pounds of dirt and you can't breathe, that it gets real fast. And needless to say, we didn't call cut until it was a realistic response to what I perceive actually getting buried alive would feel like.
I'm just thinking I'd be laying there being like, I just want to see the final edit. That's it. So you are here at the MediaPlex where we are teaching film. What advice do you have for students who want to go into this type of industry?
Honestly, I would say two-tier. Actually, I'm fortunate enough to have a brother who is in ACTRA. So from an actor's standpoint, I can't really touch on the other aspects of it. But what I appreciate as an actor is that level of professionalism around you. Like, there was nothing more reassuring than knowing that every aspect of this short was being done to the nth degree. Every single person involved put in 110% effort, and it makes you want to put in that same level of effort, whether it's being patient while they're setting up a shot or whether it's getting buried by 50 pounds of dirt.
Thank you so much, Christian, for sitting with me this evening. You can catch the short film Planted. The screening will be at the Windsor International Film Festival Wednesday, November 1st. For ZNR Entertainment, I'm Zachary Ballog. Up now is another installment of Talking Pictures. Here's Dylan and Blake.
Or is it Blake and Dylan? You figure it out.
Mr. Ford, you made a picture called Three Bad Men, which was a large-scale Western. You had a quite elaborate land rush in it. How did you shoot that?
With a camera.
All right, welcome back to Talking Pictures. Today we got two excellent breaking point shots of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and of Network. Two shots of two characters who are mad as hell and just can't take this anymore.
In the case of Network, Peter Finch's electric and desperate and furious performance really does rally a crowd, really does make you want to stand up and yell with him, because that's the kind of power that it takes to wake neighborhoods. And you can see stress, you can see the desperation of somebody who just can't lose anything anymore and is just saying what he feels from his heart, and it pays off. You can see it in the film. Now, comparing to Mr. Smith, it's a little more complicated than that, and even a little more desperate, I might add.
I would say that it's very, very compelling to watch as each shot changes and as each expression in Jimmy Stewart's eyes, as his shoulders go down, as his knees start to buckle, you can tell. And they even tell you his Boy Scout attitude is starting to lose its grip. And as you can see by these shots, he is at his breaking point.
Now, breaking point being reached on both ends, one really does break, one really does collapse, and ultimately the collapse is for a good reason that leads to success. Success is not necessarily so clean-cut in the other example, whereas on air, Peter Finch's character can't just slide by with all of this yelling and all of this furious emotion, but it does make a change for the better in his field, which is interesting because he doesn't break, he doesn't fall to the floor, but it does benefit.
And he does succeed in rallying everybody within the network of his field, and everybody ends up yelling along with him by the end.
Almost in a way that just says everything unsaid in the field itself, and just ultimately, for lack of a better word, sticking it to the man.
So those are the two shots we compared. This was Talking Pictures.
I'm Blake Moskovsky.
And I'm Dylan Moskovsky. Next time we'll be comparing two more shots. These were two men. Next time we're going to do two women. So stay tuned for the next two shots we compare.
WIF is fast approaching, and for many, it's a special and even magical time of year. Evan Holmes tells us more.
The Windsor International Film Festival makes its return to downtown Windsor, and this time even bigger. Starting October 26th until November 5th, WIF will be running its 11-day film festival, showcasing a diverse range of films from filmmakers all over the world, including feature films, documentaries, and short films.
WIF is the Windsor International Film Festival. It's been in existence for 19 years now. It's Canada's largest volunteer-run film festival. We show the best of Canadian and international films. We're showing films this year from about 46 different countries, over 11 days here to an audience of about 45,000 people, which is huge.
Interested in furthering your knowledge about the industry and taking your productions to the next level? WIF has you covered. This year, WIF will be hosting a 2-day industry conference with inspiring discussions, in-depth panels, and networking opportunities led by industry professionals and nominated filmmakers.
We have a 2-day industry conference happening on the opening weekend, so that's Friday, October 27th and Saturday, October 28th. So a couple of different facets to that. We have a masterclass with filmmaker Louise Archambault. There are two feature films at the festival this year that are nominated for our $25,000 cash prize for Best Canadian Film of the Year.
Taking place opening weekend from October 27th until the 28th, you can gain insight in creating successful and impactful films, as well as learn about our successful filmmakers' stories. With 311 screenings of 177 films and 24 shorts, WIF will be celebrating its largest festival to date. From the MediaPlex, I'm Evan Holmes.
Ken Pastushin is a WIF volunteer and loving it. Here's his report.
The Windsor International Film Festival will take place this year from October 26th to November 5th. And in the interest of disclosure, I volunteered to become a greeter/ticket taker/line wrangler. That said, I am allowed and encouraged to make recommendations. If I can only see one movie at WIF this year, it would be the 40th anniversary screening of Return of the Jedi. It is also the 20th anniversary of Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, and WIF will be showing the entire trilogy. I'm no fan of horror movies, but being a film nerd, I'm tempted to go and watch the 50th anniversary screening of The Exorcist on Halloween night. You can also watch the 35th anniversary screening of the critically acclaimed period romantic drama Dangerous Liaisons. And I saved the worst for last, the 20th anniversary screening of the cult classic The Room, which is a part of WIF's Midnight Madness series. For the MediaPlex, I'm Ken Pastushin, and I hope to see you at WIF.
Wonder what we do here? Let's take a look at the MediaPlex from the people who study and work here.
Journalism enables people to be well informed. It's documenting history. It's an extraordinary way for people to be connected with their community.
What happens in the world affects us. What happens in our community affects us. What happens in the province affects us. And we get to be the eyes and ears and tell the stories. There are many stories that need to be told, and those things add value to our life.
It's neat to know that so many people are relying on me. It makes you strive for perfection, or makes you strive for accuracy.
The journalism program here at St. Clair College is a convergence journalism program. Convergence means the merging together of print, radio, and television, and the web, and putting all different stories into 3 or 4 different platforms.
I can go out now and I can understand how to write a print. I know how to do social media. I can shoot a video. So you start to trust yourself and to use your journalistic skills.
In 21st century newsrooms, journalists have to be able to do it all.
We ask every one of our reporters to tell stories in multiple ways.
There's a different style of writing for print than there is for radio, than there is for television. And it's really important that the information gets out that is true to those platforms.
We are one of the few, if not the only, program that is actually taking students to a live broadcast and giving them that opportunity and that experience.
I want to be a journalist because I think I like to listen other stories.
午间好，这里是媒体综合新闻节目，我是谭一丹，欢迎收
I
看。
find that the students that come out of St. Clair College are already at or above where some of our broadcast employees have been over the last several years.
I feel that I made the greatest decision I could by choosing this program because I have learned so much and I think that I can only grow from here.
I would hands down recommend the program to someone considering it. I would recommend it to someone that's not even considering it. They teach you such a vast array of different skills, different platforms, different things that you could really apply to so many different careers.
Based on literally hundreds of interns I've seen over the years, St. Clair students are better prepared to go into the work environment in media than most students coming out of colleges and universities across North America.
I think it's that very comprehensive curriculum that we have that creates converged journalists that sets this journalism school apart.
So if you like what we do here and would maybe like to be a part of it, then why not join us at our open house Saturday, November 18th from 10 to 1 at the main campus.
Many graduates of the MediaPlex have gone on to bigger and better things. Sean Preble is one of them.
Hello, I'm Sean Preble, a graduate of St. Clair College's Journalism and Media Convergence programs, coming to you from Global News in Toronto. I currently work here at Global as an online video journalist with the National Online Video Team, and it was thanks to what I learned at St. Clair that brought me to this point. So, if journalism is the type of thing that interests you, check out St. Clair College and see where it can take you.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Gracie Lowe's.
And I'm Zachary Balog.
And you've been watching the MediaPlex Insider.
This has been a St. Clair College MediaPlex production.